Well, I would have started 2 years ago supplying weapons to the Syrian opposition, and I think that Bashar Assad would have been gone. But that's over. I certainly would have consulted with Congress, which is what the War Powers Act requires, but I would have taken action without calling for a resolution. And if you want to call for a resolution, fine. If you want to act, I think you were constitutionally correct in doing it. But to say you're going to act and then ask for congressional approval is the worst option, because he found himself in a real box where he said he was going to strike, but said he needed congressional approval and wasn't going to get it.
If, in the end, the Russians deliver on this deal with Syria, Assad surrenders his chemical weapons, and Russia is seen to have done the right thing, and President Obama has avoided any military action, avoided risking any American lives, you could argue in the end that all the dithering and zigzagging and shifting positions that he's taken have led to the right result, and therefore would be a vindication of his actions.
I think you could argue that that's the best outcome given the situation now, but then you still have this conflict that goes on the ground in Syria. You might be interested to know that when the threat of the attack was going on, Bashar Assad grounded his air force, dispersed his forces. As soon as the pause was announced, he immediately resumed the air attacks. The weapons came in from Iran and from Russia. It's interesting. How does this morally, Piers, when you are negotiating for the removal of chemical weapons, and yet at the same time they're flying in plane load after plane load of weapons, which have already killed 100,000, not 1,000, but 100,000 Syrians, and leaving the opposition out to dry? And the thing that bothers me